Hello everyone. In today we are going to study about supply and demand under managerial economics. So let's start with understanding the meaning of demand. A demand is the desire of consumers to purchase the particular goods or services. In the demand market creates the demand based on the prices in the form of the customer wants and willingness. It purely depends on the ability of customers to buy those products and the price, which is based on the production. It creates an aggregate demand when the total demand for goods and service of economy matches. The demand and supply matches the price of the goods and services. It is the concept which needs a little more understanding. A demand indicates how much of a product consumer is willing and able to buy at the possible price in a given duration, but the other things remain constant. Now let us study what is a demand curve. And a demand curve, we can see certain points such as demand, law of demand, marginal utility, law of diminishing marginal utility, demand curve, quantity demanded, individual demand, and market demand. These things, they are impact on the demand of how a customer creates the demand in the market and how the production process occurs. Next, let's study what is a law of demand. A law of demand says that quantity demanded varies inversely with price, other things constant. This means the higher price, the smaller quantity demanded. When the price of a certain products get high, the demand automatically reduces. But when the demand reduces, it is the same time when the supply gets more and the price gets less. So the demand is depending upon the price. Now let us study what is a supply. As we know, demand, it is the consumer's desire. The supply, it purely depends upon the resource of the firm who produces it, the laborers, and the providers of financial assets and other economics agents who are willing and able to provide the marketplace, or it is for our individual. But a supply is producing of goods using the labor time, raw material, and other scarce or valuable object. In simple words, if the quantity of a product that producers are willing and able to provide a different market price over a period of time, a supply occurs when the consumers have their wants and it becomes a demand in the market. When the demand arises, the suppliers produce those products according to their demand and supply it in the market. The next one is law of supply. As we studied law of demand, now let us study the law of supply. The law of supply, it is a basic economic concept, which means an increase in the price of goods or services result increase in their supply. And it is defined as the quantity of goods or services that suppliers are willing and able to provide to customers. Now let us study what is the law of supply and demand. The law of supply and demand predicts that if the supply of goods or services gets over, the demand price will get reduced. If demand exceeds, price will rise. If demand declines, the price will also decline. In a free market, the equilibrium price is price at which the supply exactly matches the demand. If the demand is more, the supply will be more. Based on the price, the demand will occur. Now let us study the demand and supply curve. The market demand curve indicates the maximum price a buyer is willing to purchase and pay for that particular product, and it also includes the quantity and the value of the product in the market. In demand and supply, it should be always carry a market supply curve that indicates minimum price, then the supplier should accept, and it should be willingness which is created by the demand. A supplier produces those products which have demand, and demand depends on consumers, and consumers morely prefer on the prices. If the price is according to their financial and economical budget, they create the demand by wanting those products. So, in order to have buyers and sellers agree on the quantity that would be provided and purchased, the price needs to be a right level. The market equilibrium is a quantity and associated price at which there is concern between sellers and buyers. Here, it can be understood by a pie chart. Now, let us have a look on the demand and supply curve. As we can see the chart, it has the demand and supply which are equilibrium, which is matching with each other. The price and quantity are at the center point where the demand and supply is matching, and it is creating market clearing price. In the graph, it clearly represents the point at which the supply and demand curve intersect with each other, which we call as our equilibrium point. Then what is an equilibrium? Market equilibrium is determined at the intersect, which means joining of demand and the supply curve. The price that equates the quantity demanded with the quantity supplied is called equilibrium price. To understand it simply, a market situation in which the quantity demanded exceed the quantity supplied shows the storage of the market. A storage occurs at a price below the equilibrium level. A market situation in which the quantity supplied exceed the quantity demanded, there exists the surplus of the market. A surplus occurs at a price above the equilibrium level. If we have to understand it very simply, in market price, the equilibrium value, equilibrium means where the demand and supply curve intersect with each other, the value when they exists in demand in case this case buyer bid up the price of goods. A price goes up, some buyers tend to quit crying because they don't want to come or can't buy the higher price for their products. Eventually, the upward pressure on the price and supply will stabilize a market equilibrium. So, a supplier has to supply the products based and depending upon the buying capabilities of the buyers. When a demand is created for a product, the supply should be in a range that all the buyers can buy those products, which will result in intersecting both the supply and demand curve. I hope you understand about the demand and market supply. Thank you for your valuable time.